you think you know what happened in the Titanic's final moments from the movies? Well, forget that. The reality of what the 1,500 people who went into the ocean that night experienced is 100 times more brutal than any movie. As a doctor, I'm obsessed with what the human body can and can't handle. In this video, I'm going to use actual science and survival stories to show what those last seconds were really like. We're throwing out the Hollywood fantasy to show you the medical facts and answer the question, what did the Titanic victims actually go through? This isn't just a story about a sinking ship. This is the story of the human body losing a crazy, violent, and super fast battle against impossible odds. Before anyone even touched the water, the chaos was already insane. The ship didn't just slide peacefully under the waves all at once. At around 2 a.m., the ship literally started ripping itself apart. Survivors said it sounded like breaking china. That was the sound of the metal superstructure ripping to shreds. This was a completely violent event. The back of the ship, where tons of people were crowded, shot almost straight up into the air before it broke off from the front section. Anyone standing there would have been thrown with incredible force. We're talking broken bones, crush injuries, and blunt force trauma before they even hit the water. The idea of people just clinging to the rails during this violent catapult ride is a movie invention. The truth is that this catastrophic failure would have knocked out and mangled hundreds of people just moments before they faced the freezing ocean. It wasn't until much later, after the front section had completely separated, that the rear of the ship finally settled into its long, quiet plunge beneath the waves. The ocean water that night was an unbelievable 28 degrees Fahrenheit, or -2 degrees Celsius. For a human body, the shock is instant and absolutely overwhelming. But this is the biggest thing everyone gets wrong. The main killer wasn't hypothermia, it was something called the cold shock response. This is a reflex you literally can't control, unless you're a trained Navy SEAL or something, and it happens in seconds. First, you take a giant involuntary gasp for air. You can't stop it. If your head was underwater, or if a wave hit you at that exact moment, your lungs would just instantly fill with water. For so many people, this was the first and last breath they took in the Atlantic. They would have drowned in seconds, not from being tired, but from a reflex they had zero control over. For anyone who managed to keep their head up, the next thing that happens is you start hyperventilating. Your breathing gets super fast and shallow, and you can't swim or do anything else. At the same time, the cold makes all the blood vessels in your skin slam shut to protect your core temperature. This causes your blood pressure and heart rate to spike so high that, for many, it would have triggered a massive, fatal heart attack within 1 to 3 minutes. This was all happening way before hypothermia could even begin. The cries for help that people in lifeboats heard, well, that was just the tiny number of people who actually survived this first traumatic stage. If you somehow survived the first cold shock, the challenge was just getting started. The next stage is cold incapacitation, which is a terrifying and fast loss of your muscle control. Your body loses heat 25 times faster in cold water than it does in cold air. So to protect your vital organs, your body cuts off blood flow to your limbs. And the first things to go are your hands. Within minutes, your fingers are totally numb and useless. Like you literally couldn't hold on to a piece of wreckage or a rope if you wanted to. After about 10 minutes, that paralysis spreads to your arms and legs. Your muscles just stop listening to your brain because they have no warm blood, which means they have no oxygen, which means they're dying. Even the strongest swimmer in the world would be reduced to weak, useless flailing. Studies show that within 15 to 30 minutes, most people will be completely paralyzed. They'd be awake, but trapped in a frozen body, unable to move or save themselves. This is a huge reason why almost no one was pulled from the water. They physically couldn't help themselves get up into the lifeboats. The word everyone links with the Titanic is hypothermia, but it's a huge myth that people just froze to death. The truth is way more complicated. Most people died from drowning, which was made unavoidable by the cold shock and incapacitation that already happened. Hypothermia is when your body's core temperature slowly drops. In that -2 degrees Celsius water, this was happening non-stop, and people would start losing consciousness in as little as 15 minutes. Yet trying to struggle or swim would have actually made you lose heat faster, speeding up the hypothermia. As people got more hypothermic, they would get confused, disoriented, and finally just pass out. That was the last step. The Titanic's life jackets were good at keeping people floating, but they were never designed to keep an unconscious person's head out of the water. Once their muscles went totally limp, their head would fall forward and their face would go under. They didn't die because their body temperature got too low. They died because hypothermia made them pass out, and then they drowned. Now, for the hundreds of people who went down inside the ship, their end was even faster and more insane. Their killer wasn't cold, it was barotrauma, a massive change in pressure. The Titanic wreck is at a depth of almost 2.5 miles, or 4,000 meters, where the pressure is over 375 times what it is at the surface. That's an absolutely crushing 6,000 pounds of force on every square inch of your body. But the real problem is the air inside your body, your lungs, sinuses, and ears. There's a rule in physics that says as pressure goes up, the volume of gas goes down. As the ship's sections plunged into the deep, the air inside a person's lungs would have been compressed into nothing. This would cause the entire chest cavity and lungs to collapse. It's a catastrophic implosion that happens in milliseconds, so fast your brain can't even register pain. So for those trapped inside, death was more or less instantaneous. This also explains why we've never found any bodies in the wreck. At that depth, the pressure is so intense that after sea creatures ate the soft tissues, the bones themselves would just completely dissolve over time. Now, of course, in any event, there's always the slim chance of someone's experience not being quite the typical one. And on the Titanic, it was the chief baker, Charles Joggin. His story of survival is one of the craziest tales of all time. Less than a month after the sinking, this man testified before a commissioner's inquiry that he treaded water for 2 hours before he was rescued. How did one guy survive that long when everyone else would have been dead in minutes? Well, first, Joggin had been drinking. A lot. Today we know alcohol is really super dangerous in the cold because it makes you lose heat faster. But in this specific case, it might have actually helped by keeping him from panicking, which would have used up his energy much faster. And second, he claimed that when he stepped off the back of the ship as it went under, he barely even got his head wet. This means he probably dodged that first fatal gasp reflex from the cold shock. Of course, Joggin's survival doesn't change what happened to the other 1,500 victims. In fact, it just proves how incredibly specific and lucky you had to be to survive more than a few minutes in that freezing cold water. So what did the victims of the Titanic really go through? Well, for almost everyone, thankfully, the conscious suffering was pretty brief. Their final moments were a quick chain reaction of the body failing. It started with the uncontrollable gasp of cold shock, which drowned tons of people instantly. Then came the massive heart strain, the paralysis from cold incapacitation, and finally passing out from hypothermia, which led to drowning. For those inside, death was probably an instantaneous implosion from the insane pressure of the deep ocean. That's the brutal reality that separates the movie fantasy from the historical fact. And it's a chilling look at the human body's last seconds against an impossible force. Thanks for coming with me on this deep dive into the Titanic's final moments. Hit that like button and let me know in the comments what other historical disaster you'd like me to do a medical breakdown on next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.